Hi, Chief Swoboda coming to you today with a community briefing. Today we are releasing our 2016 crime stats. So please click on the attachments here and go through those. There's a lot of good news. There's a lot of work left to do, obviously, but there's a lot of good news in these crime statistics that I think are a result of all of the work that our officers, our civilian staff, and all of you working together have really accomplished a lot. So right off the bat, it's important to note that we have a 3% decrease in crime in 2016 compared to 2015. Again, we're comparing 2016 to 2015. So 3% reduction in our Part 1 crime. So that's very good news. You know, to put that in perspective, that's a 60% reduction from where we were at our high water mark back in 1989. So more than 60% reduction in Part 1 crime since 1989. And we always like to make that comparison back to 1972 when the city was half the population it is now. It's still more than 30% less crime than was occurring back in 1972. So together we, the Elgin Police Department, and all of you are really doing a tremendous job in reducing crime. But we need to stay at it. There's still a lot of work left to do. I want to go through some of the highlights and the lowlights of this report. Some of the lowlights are obviously the 2 homicides we had. We had 2 homicides. We went the 10 months of the year without any, and then we had 1 in November and 1 in December. Happy to report that we were able to make arrests very quickly. Our responding officers and detectives did a great job to arrest a person for each one of those crimes, and they are currently awaiting trial. We also had our shots fired went up 10% in 2016 compared to 2015. So they went from 58 to 64. So that is another case that we are monitoring, why there is again another increase in the amount of shots fired around the city. And then lastly, vehicle burglaries are up 15%. So we will talk a little bit at the end of this video about vehicle burglaries. Some of the positives: overall crime again down 3%, but specifically violent crime down slightly compared to the year before. But it's important to note that in 2016, the level of violent crime, there's only been 2 other years in the past 20 years that had that level of violent crime. It's extremely low. We can obviously still continue to drive that further down, but in the past 20 years, there have only been 3 years that had less violent crime than we had in 2016. Our shooting victims are down 48%. We went from 21 to 11. So the number of people that had been shot in 2016, it was almost cut in half. And lastly, our residential and commercial burglaries are at all-time lows. So whether that's, the education that we're providing for those of you to protect your homes or your businesses, or the target hardening you're doing yourself, lights, locking cars, and locking garage doors and the like, or whether it's just the technology that you're employing, it's helping us arrest people who are committing these crimes. Either way, it's a reduction, it's an all-time reduction in the amount of commercial and residential burglaries that are occurring here in Elgin. But it's not just about the crime. I ask you to, again, click on all of the attachments that are with this video and go through all the different things that are occurring out there between the Elgin Police Department and all of you working together. Throughout this past year, whether it was a community conversation, whether it was coffee with a cop, was it women's self-defense, whether it was the Pokemon Go event we did over the summer, working with all of you to get to know each other so that together we can continue to reduce crime has really been very successful. Finally, I just want to hit on a couple things. Robberies. In 2016, we had 62. We've never had a year we've had less than 62. One other year we had 62. But we've never had less robberies than we did in 2016. However, one of the interesting trends that we have seen is that 8% of the time in those robberies, it was somehow a meeting of social media was involved. So they met on social media, they agreed to sell something or agreed to go on a date. Something happened via social media and they met up. So always be wary of not only the things you see on social media, but the people you meet. Just be very wary of that. Again, 8% of the time our robberies had some type of tie to social media. And lastly, once again, more than half of the time a car was broken into in Elgin, it was because the vehicle was unlocked. So please, simply locking your car doors when you're not in your car will help us continue to drive down those numbers of vehicle burglaries. It's been a great year in 2016. We obviously together have a lot of work to do going forward, but I believe if we continue to work together the way we have, we can make 2017 even safer and continue to drive down these numbers to even more historic lows. So we're very happy to be serving you here at the Elgin Police Department. I promise you that if you get to know the Elgin officers and those who work here at the Elgin Police Department, you'll have friends and be very proud of those who are serving you. So please come on out to one of our community events and let's work together to make 2017 the best year yet. A little belated Happy New Year, but we really look forward to working with you all. Take care.